Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Thursday. I'm Leslie Watkins. So let me just check my settings here, make sure everything is turned up. That looks good. So how is everybody today? We have New Year's coming up on just after this weekend, so Monday. And in this stamp set, The Brightest Glow, I found a Happy New Year. So I'm going to be using this set today. And I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock. I'm just going to cut this down to size. And then I'm going to show you what we're going to make, but I just want to get started here. So probably a 2-inch piece will be sufficient. All right, so we have a very nice invitation to go to somebody's house for a delicious bowl of French onion soup. So I want to get ready for that, and I want to bring a hostess gift with me. And so we have this very beautiful bottle of wine, and what I want to do is to create a label for the bottle to present it to the hostess with. And so I'm going to get out a stamp block here. Let me find the right size. This will work. And what I do is I put my clear block somewhere where there's a straight line, like there's a line on the surface here. So if I just sort of get that sort of straight, and then do I have the right one? I've got the wrong one. Hang on. Let's start again here. This one. This is the right one. So then I kind of eyeball the baseline of the letters and get that kind of where I want it, like so. All right, now today we're going to be doing a little bit of heat embossing, so I'm going to zoom you in. And for that, I have my Versamark ink, and I have my embossing buddy. Now this is a little pillow that you pounce onto your paper like so, and what this does, it removes any kind of oils or debris that's going to cause the embossing powder to stick where you don't want it. It just helps to give you a better surface to work on. Got plenty of the Versamark on there. The Versamark's going to act like glue for me. I want plenty of that. So my pad has been newly replenished, so it's nice and juicy. And then today what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using gold embossing powder. So I'm going to get out my tub of embossing powder. Ooh, it looks like I'm getting down to the end here. Sprinkle a little of that on. And I'm just going to do this a couple of times to make sure that I get it from every angle, so I have a nice thick layer of the embossing powder. Okay, so there it is. Very pretty. And I'm going to put on my heat gun. Now the heat gun, or the heat tool, is a little bit noisy, but this is a particularly nice one because it has two settings, high and low. I'm going to go ahead and use the high setting, but I'm going to turn the sound off for just a moment while I'm doing this. Before I begin though, I'm going to make sure that I cover up my powder because I don't want that to go flying everywhere. Alright, so I'm going to mute you. There we go. So you can see I think you can see that's very nice and shiny now. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to use a circle punch and just pop that out. I want this to look like a kind of a seal. So that looks pretty good like that. Okay, so there's my sentiment, but I'm not done yet because what I want to do is I want to dress up the sides a little bit. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Just kind of give that a once over. And now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my circle and I'm just going to rub that right into the pad all around. And then I'm going to just roll that. I know you can't see my hands in the way, but I'm just kind of rolling the circle okay. And now this time, because my paper is so little, I'm going to get out my ceramic tweezers. Now if you get an embossing accessory kit, it comes with these wonderful heat embossing tweezers that have this ceramic tip so that you won't burn your fingers, and they will just grab onto the edge like so, and then you can go ahead and do the heat embossing. So once again, I'm going to turn the sound off. There we go. That's the heat embossing done. These things are really handy. They come in a set. Okay, so you get this tray, which is really great for doing your heat embossing because it captures all the powder, and then you can funnel it back into the little jar, little brush. Okay, so all the things that you need in one great little set. Okay, now next, so we need a base, and the colors that I've selected for the palette today are Pretty Peacock. So here's my Pretty Peacock, and I also have some Lost Lagoon, and I've got some of the distressed gold paper. So the first thing we're going to do is get the base cut out. So I'm going to bring my trimmer back up. And I want this base to be about, let me think for a minute, I'm going to say 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going to go ahead, and actually I'm going to do it on the short edge because I don't need that much width. So let's, or length I should say. So 3.5. All right, so there's my 3.5 measuring from a standard piece of cardstock. So this is 8.5, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score this at also at 3.5. All right, so it gives me something that looks like this. And I'm looking for my circle punch. So the circle punch here that I'm using is 1 3/4. You could use one that is 1.5, or you could also go ahead and just use whatever kind of a die cut circle you may have. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to create my aperture, and that's just going to fit over the wine like so. Okay, so let me zoom you out a little bit so you can see a little bit better. All right, so something like this. Okay, so you can see it could be a little bit bigger or smaller depending on the shape of your bottle. Each bottle is going to be a little bit different. And if you're not using wine, it could be olive oil, or it could even be like a hand cream or something like that. So anything that has a narrow neck that you could fit this over the top of. Okay, so I'm gonna bring out some DSP. I just want to take a quick look because this Traditions of Saint Nick DSP I love so much. So I have some scraps in here, and that would work really well. So that's a possibility. I'm going to put that aside for a minute, but I just want to check some of these other colors out. And that's a possibility. I like that too. Ooh, decisions. Let me tell you what. These are the embellishments I'm going to be using today. Okay, so these are a gift from Frankincense, the resident peacock here at Dandelion Cottage. And I kind of like them with this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a piece of that out. And I just need 3 inches. And let's see what the length here is going to be. going to be about 4.5. Let's try that. That looks good. Okay, done with this. And what I'd like to do is add a little bit of a sparkly gold border. So I'm going to go back to that distressed gold paper. Go ahead and open this up. And I'm just checking my screen here. I see Kelly and Ginger and Charlotte. Charlotte, where have you been? I hope you had a really nice Christmas. I want to thank you so much for that beautiful card that you made. I love that accordion fold on it. I'm going to do something with that. I'm going to take your idea. So thank you so much for sending that and thinking of me. All right, now what was this again? That was 3 by 4.5, correct? Yes, 3 by 4.5. So I want this to be just a tiny bit wider. So I'm going to just measure this at 3 1/8. So it gives me just a little bit of this beautiful distressed gold peeking out the edge. All right, and then I'm going to go to 4 5/8 here. Double check, make sure I did that correctly. And you see that's going to give me just that beautiful little sparkle around the edge. So I love that. And what I want to do though, now this paper does have a kind of a white core to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out my Delicata gold ink and my gold sponge, and I'm just going to knock that down so that you don't see that white edge, and that this beautiful DSP that I love. This may be my favorite DSP from the holiday. I just love these kind of Baroque designs on it. Anything Baroque, Florentine, you know, some kind of a classical design. It could almost pass for a William Morris. All of those things, I just love them. All right, now if I get a little bit of gold peeking up onto the surface of the card, that's even better yet, because we're just looking for a beautiful kind of a elegant sparkle. All right, now zoom you in a touch. Get my silicone sheet out here, and I'm just using my liquid glue. If you're just new to paper crafting and you're having a little bit of trouble getting used to the liquid glue, you will find that you actually do have a lot of control over it by the amount of pressure that you squeeze. The temperature of the room does affect the flow of the glue. So if it's particularly warm where you are, it might come out a little bit faster. If it's colder, a little cooler. Also, the hole in the nozzle can vary a tiny bit. So you could get a glue that's a little bit overzealous and one that's a little bit harder to squeeze. So you just have to kind of play with it a little bit. But what I'm getting at here is that if you are messy at first with the glue, I know I was, you will get better with practice. It just takes a little bit of practice, and just use it as though it were a ballpoint pen. So hold the nozzle down to the surface that you're applying the glue to. Oops, wait a minute. I'm going to put the gold on first. I jumped ahead of myself there. Hang on. And the other nice thing about it, of course, is that you do have a second or two of wiggle room so that you can get that lined up exactly how you want it. And the other thing I really recommend that you have is a bone folder, and of course mine has gone missing, as it does all the time. I have a pixie in my studio that hides things on me. I think her name is Cersei. Alright, I've got this other bone folder. I'll just use this for the minute. You want to use the bone folder to get things nice and flat. It also helps to push the glue around and get it evenly distributed so that you don't have any bumps. And now I'm going to go ahead and add my glue to the back of this layer. And you'll notice that I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm going very close, maybe 1/8 of an inch or so, but I'm leaving a little bit of room for the glue to move so that it doesn't come out the edge, which isn't to say that that doesn't happen once in a while, but it's not a big deal. All right, now when I place my layers, I like to do it sideways because I feel like I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So I'm just going to get that on there. Move it into place. Give it a good burnish. There we go, there's the base layer, and I think that looks really, really pretty. So can you see that little bit of the gold peeking around the edge? Beautiful. Now there's something else I want to do to these. Dun, dun, dun. All right, I am really disorganized today, everybody. My studio is in dire need of a big cleanup from the Christmas and holiday extravaganza. But I'm using this little corner rounder just to take these corners off the top. You could do this with your scissors if you don't have one of these, but I just think it gives it a nice, neat look. And now all that remains is the decoration. So I'm going to have my message something like this, and move some of this stuff away. I'm going to select an assortment of feathers. Now these are really fun because what happens here is these are what I call the specials. So of course there's the great big magnificent tail feathers that we're all familiar with, but then there are these smaller feathers that are closer to the base of his tail and also just above his tail. And the tail, when I say the tail, what I'm really talking about is the train. So that long, beautiful, magnificent feathered part is actually not the peacock's tail. That's called the train. The tail is underneath there, and the tail looks more like a turkey tail, and it helps to support the train when he pulls it up and makes it all fan out and look beautiful. And so there's all these other beautiful little assorted feathers on the sides and at the base, and I call these the specials because they're so pretty and they're so delicate, and they're absolutely perfect for card making. So I'm going to grab this one because it's such an unusual shape. I love that. And then I think I'm going to get this one that has this kind of a curl to it. I like that. And maybe one more for the middle. And I think this one will do. Alright, so I'm going to use 3. All of these can go back. And then what I do is I snip off the bottom so that I can manage them a little bit better. And I pull off these extra bits because we're not going to need these. Okay, now clean this up. I'm going to find my dimensionals. Hopefully they're handy here. And actually for this I'm going to use the black dimensionals because I want this to be kind of hidden. The black dimensionals, by the way, come in a pack with various sizes. So I've got this standard size dimensional, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you also have the minis, which can be very useful. But for now, the standard size is going to be just fine. All right, now I did pull out this Lost Lagoon, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use it or not. I think not. I think that we've got enough color in here as is. So what I want to do is, this is the right, oh, you know what? Before I do that, before I start adding anything bulky, what I want to do is I want to put a piece of the Very Vanilla cardstock on the back here, so I have a place to write a little message. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the thick Very Vanilla, which is fine. It's going to help give the tag a little more body. And I'll cut that at 3. By 4 will be plenty. Okay. There we go. Now I have, you'll know I love my sparkle. I have this nice gold Uniball pen, and while this is nice and flat, I'm just going to go ahead and write 2024. Actually, this one's running a little bit out of ink, I think. Let me get a different one. Oops. Uh-oh. All right, hang on. I think I need to open up a new pack. Fortunately, I've got plenty. Okay, 2024. And then just make my message. Okay. All right. Now let that dry for just a second. Make sure we don't have any smudge. All right, now for this. I'm going to grab my dimensionals. Just want to see where this is going to go. This is going to go down a little bit low to accommodate the feathers. So something like that. So I'm just going to put this right in the middle. Excuse me. Peel off the backing. And now I can arrange my feathers where I want them and see exactly where they're going to go. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more of these just to hold everything in place. One more. Okay. Now pop my sentiment on there. Alright, so there it is. There's my pretty wine tag, and it has the beautiful golden shimmer on it. I think you can see that pretty well. Alright, now I know that somewhere in my stash I've got some of those retired peacock gems, and I think I'm going to go search for those and put a couple of those, scatter those embellishments around a little bit. But I think you get the idea here with the note on the back. And then of course this is just going to slip right over the top of the bottle and will sit on the sideboard like this so that everybody can see it. Okay, so I'll take it, once I find those embellishments, I'll put those on and I'll take another picture so you can see how that turns out. I hope this gives you some ideas. I want to wish all of you, all of the amazing people that have been subscribing and following me for the past 4 years, thank you so much for helping me to build up my my online presence with all of your following and subscriptions and your likes and your comments. It really makes a big deal. Thank you very, very much. I hope you all have an absolutely marvelous new year, and that it's very happy, healthy, and creative. So bye for now. I will be back next week for Watercolor Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Time. And I hope to see you then. And then I'll be back again on Thursday, also at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time.